conversation, an understanding of where his words needed to go. Yes, he loved the sheer, sweat-inducing work that writing demanded of him most of the time. But how much more did he love those days, so few and far between, when the starts were not false, the pages not discarded, and the words, instead of clinging to the ether until he wrenched them free, exploded onto the page, almost of their own volition. At 2:00, when Robert felt that hardly 10 minutes had passed since he had sat down to work, Rebecca had sailed into the room bearing pastrami sandwiches from Katz's and a smile that sparkled like the sun on the Hudson. They had been seeing each other for just over a year, and that smile smote him every time. "I love having a client on the Lower East Side," she said, kissing him on the cheek and handing him a thick foil packet. "They may be a bit soggy after the ride uptown, but Katz's still has the best pastrami in town. How was your day? Because mine is great." Nothing could make good news better like sharing it with Rebecca. And as they sat cross-legged on the floor, savoring thick slabs of pastrami between dissolving slices of rye bread, Robert narrated his day. First the mail informing him that his story, Novelty and Romancement, had been accepted by Plowshares, and then the fountain of writing that had produced a fully formed chapter in a single sitting. "Okay," said Rebecca, leaning back against the sofa with a groan of the gluttonous, and not bothering to wipe the mustard from her face. "Your day is clearly even better than mine. Read to me." Rebecca was Robert's most careful and most honest critic. It was one of the reasons he loved her. She thought deeply about his writing and reacted to it with complete candor and profound wisdom, never afraid to tell him to throw something away and start over. Robert could not easily earn her praise, so it came with weight when she did bestow it. That day she had sat with eyes closed and hands folded over her pastrami stuffed belly as he read Chapter 8. When he finished, Rebecca remained silent for a long minute. Robert knew she needed time to digest his words. Finally, she opened her eyes, took a deep breath, and looked at him. "You wrote that all today?" "It sounds like it, doesn't it?" said Robert. "I rushed it. I shouldn't have rushed it. It just—" "No," said Rebecca firmly, silencing Robert's blathering. "It's beautiful." "Really?" "A tweak here and there. You can go over it sentence by sentence later on, but where it goes and how it gets there? Robert, this is some of your best work." Robert felt lightheaded as he looked into her eyes with a swell of pride. "You really think so? All that work you did on Chapter 7 made this possible, you know." "Do you think?" "What is it?" said Rebecca. "You're looking at me funny." "I just suddenly really want to kiss the mustard off your face." "It's 3:00 in the afternoon," said Rebecca, biting her lower lip ever so slightly. "So?" "So," she said, pulling him toward her. "You know, when your writing astounds me, it's just about the sexiest thing in the world." Afterward, Rebecca made Robert read her the chapter again, and then they walked down 72nd Street and into the park, meandering through the sheep meadow and ending up watching children on the carousel. "I remember when I was that age," said Rebecca, nodding at a gaggle of preteen girls climbing onto the horses. "God, you would have hated my childhood literary tastes. I couldn't get enough of Nancy Drew and the Dana Girls and Cherry Ames. You know those horrid series books? I cringed to think how many hours I spent with them when I could have been reading something good." Robert let her words hang in the air without comment, hoping they would drift away on the music of the carousel. But just when the topic seemed about to evaporate, she added, "How about you? What did you read as a kid? Probably Dickens or George Eliot." And there it was, the opportunity to begin a conversation he had been putting off for months, a conversation he had avoided with every woman he had ever met, a conversation that began so simply with the words, "I loved series books too. I loved the Hardy Boys and Tom Swift and the great Marvel books. And yes."